Hi, I'm Rachel Romeliotis, a senior editor at O'Reilly Media, and I'm here at Strata RX with Rachel Kalmar. She is a data scientist at Misfit Wearables. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks.
So, as a hardware engineer, someone that works with sensors and devices, is it a good idea to think about data before you create any hardware?
Sure. So I'm a little bit biased in that I'm a data scientist. So for me, hardware exists as a means to get data.
Sure.
And so I think it's important to think about, before you build a device, how am I going to use this and what kind of device is it going to be? Am I building a device for developers, in which case I want to give people a lot of access and not necessarily focus on performance, or am I making a consumer product that needs to, say, be waterproof, etc.? All of those things have constraints.
Sure.
And those are going to determine what kind of data you make available. Do you need to be sampling data every second, every minute? It really depends on the kind of device that you're building.
So what about the idea of data accessibility? Can you talk a little bit about the challenges surrounding that?
Sure. So let me show off what I'm wearing on my wrists. I am currently wearing 21 devices. And
we can't see it, but there's on your belt.
Yeah, I have on my belt, on my shoe. And I started wearing all of these because I was curious about how the different devices compared, which ones were good for which things. All of these are activity trackers. And very quickly learned that I couldn't get my data from these devices, and started looking into why. It's like, is it just that the companies don't want to give the data?
Sure.
And it's more complicated than that. Even if companies wanted to give you all of your data, any of the companies that build hardware, you're not building bracelets that happen to collect data. You're building these bracelets because your goal is to get that data. So if you give all of it away, you've basically given away what you were trying to build.
Right.
And so it's important for companies to think about data accessibility, and the value of any of these is amplified when you can combine it with other data streams. And so that is one of the challenges that we face as a field, is how do you do right by your users and give them access to their data that they generated? How do you allow access for interoperability while still allowing yourself to be competitive as a company?
Right. So, and you're involved with one in particular, Shine by Misfit Wearables, which I know you have on your necklace, which is cool, and a couple others. Can you tell me a little bit about sort of the process that you went through with Misfit Wearables, on how it was created, and sort of now it's out, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little story.
So I joined Misfit Wearables, I guess, just about a year ago, and it was a week before they launched their Indiegogo campaign. And so Misfit's goal is to make very wearable technology, and the wearable comes before technology. And the idea is that if it's something that you'll wear all the time, you'll get more data.
Sure.
And so the first product, actually like the 0th product, was Shine, and it's an activity tracker like all of these. It's waterproof, and you can wear it in multiple different wearing positions, and it tracks cycling, swimming, any activity. And so it was a challenge from a scientific perspective because we have many different possible wearing positions. We wanted to make a battery that lasted, say, 4 to 6 months. And so it was interesting from a kind of science and engineering perspective. And now we have the device, and I'd really love to be able to have all of these devices in this ecosystem to be able to pull in the data from multiple sources. And I'm trying to figure out the right way for companies to be able to do that. And I think this is something that each company is already thinking about.
Right.
But it's a question that I think about also from the perspective of for people building devices, say in the community. I run a meetup group for people working on sensor devices and applications. So we have people building everything from like beehive sensors to autonomous sailboats. Some things wearable, some things not. But when you're building these devices, how should you be thinking about the data? Like, should you have a strategy up front? And so it's an area I've become interested in, and I don't think that there are any clear answers right now.
So do you think, so these are all, like you said, activity trackers. Do you think this sort of data collection is going to cross over into other areas of health?
Definitely. It's something that there are clear medical applications.
Sure.
It's easier to iterate with a consumer product, and these aren't regulated by the FDA.
Right.
And one of the biggest challenges is how do you make these things useful? And so that's something that the consumer side can work on. I think it's also part of a broader category of, say, the Internet of Things,
Sure.
where we want our devices to be able to talk to each other and talk to, say, the furniture in our room, or be able to tell our internet to slow down because it's time for us to go to sleep. So we want all of this interactivity, but we also need interoperability.
Yeah, definitely.
For that.
That seems like a major issue. So where do you see things going in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, so I hope that all of these challenges that we're working on now will be well in our past. Ultimately, we'll be able to take in multiple streams of data simultaneously, and what that does is allow us to, say, have event-based correlation. So something happens, say, you have a heart attack, you can look back on those 10 channels of signals that you can collect and see what happened, but not just for you, but for the whole population. And then that allows you to look on average what happened before that event, and then that allows you to build predictive models that tell you, hey, if you feel some tingling in your left arm, go to the doctor. Don't think about it. And so that's just one example, but we're going to be able to have all of these cool predictions that we can make because we'll have this data that we've collected, which has a scary side to it too, but I'm more excited about the opportunities.
Yeah, and we'll have all that much more data at that point. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks.